left is letting out their radical rage by torching Teslas and taking over Trump Tower. The NYPD arresting nearly 100 anti-Israel protesters who stormed the lobby of the president's home in New York City, just a few blocks from here, demanding the release of ex-Columbia student and Ivy League protest ringleader Mahmoud Khalil. And that's not the only target. Violent attacks on Tesla dealerships are ramping up as it becomes a proxy for anger at Elon Musk and Doge. President Trump vowing to label the violence as domestic terrorism. But instead of just calling out the anarchy, some folks want to condemn how Trump is cracking down on them.
You're either with the Tesla or you're with the terrorists?
Trump thinks that if you try to kill cops to overthrow the government and change an election, that's not domestic terrorism, but somehow having a protest in front of a Tesla dealership is.
Just to be clear, you protest a private company, you are labeled by this administration a domestic terrorist.
But they loved him before they hated him. Many are pointing out how Musk was once a darling of the media.
Musk, a.k.a. real-life Iron Man.
Elon Musk is doing things that may revolutionize transportation and climate change.
Staggeringly rich and staggeringly intelligent.
Wonderful, out of this world, incredible images from the first all-civilian orbit around Earth. A huge win for Elon Musk.
As a leader in science and technology whose name may indeed belong alongside those of Edison and Jobs.
Judge, earlier today, Caroline Levitt said that the only reason Democrats changed their minds on Tesla is because Elon Musk changed his mind on Donald Trump. And I think Musk has said similar. He's like, well, they used to love me. Not anymore.
Well, the truth is that the left is so full of hate, and they still haven't figured out why they lost the election. And their hypocrisy knows no bounds. Just like we heard, if they love Elon Musk because he's a wonderful person, they will hate him not because of anything that he's done, but because of who he's aligned himself with. And this is classic left over there going into Trump Tower, which certainly is a public area, but they are there trespassing at some point when they're told to leave. They're there obstructing the police and the police's effort to get them out of there. And they're there resisting arrest because they're there because they believe in Mahmoud Khalil. And they want Mahmoud to have all of his constitutional rights, a guy who's been in the country for 2 years, who believes in the takedown of Western civilization and who hates Israel and pretty much hates all of our Western values. Everything they're doing is backwards. It's not making sense. It's not normal. And for them to die on this hill, as opposed to any of the other hills that we would understand, Lake and Riley, men and women's sports, little DJ, they figure that Mahmoud Khalil, the guy they're all promoting, who's been here for 2 years from Syria, who pretty much is, cooperating and working with a foreign terrorist organization, is the way to get back into America's heart.
But can you do a quick thing for everybody about the labeling of the attacks at Tesla plants as domestic terrorism? Does that label fit?
Well, you know what? The label does fit, but I think the president said, I think it could be domestic terrorism. He didn't say it would certainly be. Gotcha. I imagine that it depends. I mean, the violence that we're hearing about is, Molotov cocktails, arsons. I mean, and it's coordinated, and there's a conspiracy. I mean, depends on the facts.
Got you. Jessica, can you imagine 10 years ago if someone had said that Republicans would be showcasing electric cars on the White House lawn and the president would be like, I'm going to buy one, John Hannity is going to buy one, and that the Democrats would be firebombing electric vehicle dealerships?
It has been a crazy decade on many levels. I wouldn't have guessed that Donald Trump would be our president round one, let alone round two. So times they are a-changing. Putting aside the Molotov cocktails and graffiti and all that, and if they're breaking laws, then they should be pursued to the fullest extent of the law. But not buying Teslas or selling your Tesla, that's putting the free market to work. That's what people do when they're not happy with a brand anymore. Dylan Mulvaney after the Budweiser can, Kid Rock out there shooting those cans, people smashing Keurigs. This is...
Yeah, Peter hasn't bought Gillette in like 10 years.
Right. So that's how the market is supposed to work. And people are sending a message to Elon Musk that, yes, maybe 5-6 years ago, they thought, he's going up there with Edison, but right now they don't like what Doge is doing. They think he has too much power within the government, and they're speaking with their checkbooks. And that feels perfectly reasonable in how the free market should work.
Jesse, I was watching the protesters today at Trump Tower, and I never get over this feeling of like, I've never in my life had time to do that. Never. I've worked since high school. I would have to achieve. I have hobbies. I have a life. I can't even conceive of going and doing something like that.
I'm starting to realize these people might not have jobs, Dana. And I'm starting to realize they might be getting paid to protest. And Will Kane showed Open Society, Soros is funding it. And that's fine. I love it. The more you guys make fools of yourselves, the better it is for moi. A couple years ago, Musk was saving the planet. He was going to other planets. And he was in love with the Democrats. They were both in love. And then they had this horrible breakup. But Musk says he didn't change, they changed. He was always about free enterprise and free speech. They went full wacko. They tried to transition one of his kids. And then he buys Twitter and realized that they were censoring everybody. And then he sees Trump get shot. It kind of gives him a political awakening, and he goes all in. And Trump gets elected. He comes in. He wants to make the government more efficient at great expense to himself and his company, and finds out the Democrats are stealing from the government. So he caught him censoring you, and then he caught him stealing from you, and he's humiliated them. This is not your average breakup. This is like you hit him where it hurts. And now the Democrats don't have the emotional intelligence to kind of reconcile this breakup, so they just oppose everything in a blind rage. It makes no sense. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have made them support shutdowns. They're against peace. They're against green cars. They're against women. It's weird, and we're watching it unfold. Now they're supporting an anti-Semite. This is a guy, he's not even American. He comes here, he hates Jews, he blows up Colombia, cost them $400 million, and they're out there like this guy's Gandhi. And so have at it, left. Keep going.
Greg, it kind of reminded me of all the protests you would see at like the World Trade Organization and remember like all the sort of anarchist, anti-capitalism.
There might be some stuff behind that, though. But first, we got to stop referring to this guy as a student.
Yeah,
he's
a man.
31. I mean, if Charles Manson took a night course, would we refer to him as a student? No, he was a murderer. This guy is an agent, let's be honest. You know, remember, you can look at what USAID did in other countries, you know, fomenting color revolutions. What's he doing here? Issues. It's not about Doge. None of these people are upset about Doge. They don't even pay attention. Like you said, these are people who aren't really part of an everyday normal society. You know what I always do when I check out these protests? I look for one thing: attractive people. None there. None. Mostly young, female, and homely. There are a few guys in there, you know, speckled into the stereotypical goateed cream puff, but they might have been women too. And they're talking about Nazis. Well, who are the Nazis by their definition? Because once they claim you're a Nazi, they will do whatever they want to you. Some said they were at the protests were Jews, but will the media check that? I doubt it. And they will not check. The media will also not check who paid for those signs, who paid for those T-shirts, and as you said, who paid for the protesters. This protest, all these protesters are as organic as a Twinkie. This is not real. This is a manufactured activity to create the delusion of a movement. I don't think Democrats should be heartened by this, to be seen as the party of the tantrum. You know, all this explosion of negative energy is compared to the other side, which is this consistent optimism and positivity. Things are happening. We just had a temporary truce between Russia and Ukraine. We've watched illegal immigration slow to a trickle. The government is getting a much-needed audit on behalf of the taxpayers, not on behalf of the politicians. And it's driven by the most energetic, optimistic leader you've probably seen in a generation, even more. And what do you got? Mercenaries of misery who just go out there and disrupt because they have all this frickin' free time. Makes you wonder that, you know, it's funny. Why are leftists so politically chaotic, intimidating, and unhinged? You can mention January 6th, but the exception proves the rule. That was one moment. You know, the left has had 50-plus years of political unrest. And it goes back, and I think it answers your question. There's an aimlessness when you become a leftist. And the aimlessness is aided and abetted by a political narcissism, where you're told yourself matters, which is why they elevate trans activism and Hamas terrorists. Then you get to the whole Musk thing. The contradiction and the inconsistencies in their support for him are based primarily on the fact of aimlessness. They wake up every morning without a plan. They could love you one minute and hate you the next, because underneath it all, they have no real purpose in life. And it's miserable. So the lifestyle of the activists you see is unkempt, broke, emotional, just unhappy. I'm going to stop there. I was going to quote the Bible, but I think I'll save that for the next segment.
Is the next block? We'll save the Bible.
They're like the prodigal son, yet they haven't come home. There you go.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.